In this episode, a chase had begun in the upper spiritual realm. The giant monster knocked over several stones. While the people shouted to wait, Licia and Faye just watched. While one team tried to contain it by using their skills to break the stones, while others broke the stones with their fists because they were thick-skinned, Licia asked Faye if he wasn't going to use his arise. Faye explains to her that his only goal is not to die. And then he tells Licia to get out, because it's dangerous out there. But she breaks the stone with a thud. She's not very strong, you know. Faye sounds cold, seeing as that's to be expected from a goddess, and Licia says that she's not even close to 100% of her power. She couldn't use all her goddess power. And then she approaches him saying that Faye was surprisingly cute because he had been worried about her, and he doesn't say a word. 10 minutes ago, Licia and Faye were coming from a portal. Faye said she didn't even know if she was going to ally with her, and asked if they were in elements, but it looked like the city he lived in. Licia thinks it must have some connection to the god there. There were many gods she didn't know about. And she sees a group of people. The blonde girl recognizes Faye and asks what happened, as she heard he'd got a job. He says hello to Estee as it's been a long time since he's seen her. Faye explained that he had just come back and they had dragged him there. And then Licia introduces herself and everyone is shocked that she is the great dragon goddess, and they ask why she was there. She replied that she was going to take part and that they shouldn't worry because she was on the side of the humans. A little animal that looks like a very cute pig is flying around and welcoming you to his divine playground. His name is Meep and he lives in Titan territory. As the hour had passed, he was going to close the registrations, so the team leader asked everyone to start filming. Then everyone launches floating cameras to monitor everything and everyone. Manager Miranda says that humanity's mission is to beat the gods in the games, and she was counting on Faye. Meep says there are 18 of them in total, so he was going to present the game. The team makes a brief analysis, saying that the Titan God preferred battle games. In the last 30 years, there have been 23 encounters worldwide with the Titan God. The win rate with this many people is 14%. They think it's a good number, but Meep says his Titan master has had enough of fighting games. And the game was Catch of the Gods. They had never heard of this game. Faye asked if it was like playing catch. They were supposed to run away from Titan inside the buildings. Meep says he's right. They couldn't leave the area with light, and they need to get away from the Titan inside the square field. The victory condition was not so simple, as they could lose even without being caught. Meep explains that to win Catch of the Gods, the key is to stay on the run. But it could happen that you manage to escape and still lose. That was the end of the explanation. By the way, everyone had 300 seconds to escape. Just as Licia and Faye were thinking, Meep said that the Titan didn't want to wait any longer, so there was no time for anyone to escape. And the Titan is already starting the game. Licia and Faye are running until it seems that the Titan manages to catch up with them. 2 of the team members still had to carry the girls. They were just making it difficult for them. They would spread out and blend in with the shadows. The team couldn't do anything that way. The vice captain asks why they wouldn't hide in the building. Faye tells Estee that it was a bad idea. And Estee asks why. Faye explains that that god knows their exact location, and at that very moment, the Titan appears to catch Estee. She is hit, but manages to stay alive and doesn't understand why she didn't lose. But unexpectedly, she turned all red. Her magic came out on its own, and she attacked her companions, and the vice captain asked if Estee had gone mad. Faye has doubts as to whether it really is a catch of the gods. Of course, there were hidden rules. Whoever was incapacitated by an attack from the god would become his servant. Asta asks the vice captain to run away until she manages to hit all 3 companions at once. And the Titan defeats them too, making them servants. Faye and Licia could be in trouble, so they decide to get out of there. They now had 4 on the god side, which would total 5 if you counted the god. It was 14 humans against 5. Faye and Licia run, and the Titan stops following them. Licia finds it very strange that the Titan stops following them. And then they see Asta coming towards them, and Faye says that if he catches everyone, it would be 2 humans against several on the god's side. What Faye finds strange is that the lower body remains the same, which didn't seem to balance out. Asta wasn't out of the game yet. If she lost, she would return to the world intact. Faye doesn't understand why it's only half her body. Asta follows them, then stops following, until Faye puts a garbage can on her head and Leshia touches Asta's bottom, and now Asta has returned to the human side. Asta is very happy to be back. Faye said that she hadn't left the game yet because the bottom part wasn't colored. In other words, there was another hidden rule. Next we see the Titan looking for the players. Faye, Asta, and Leshia have become targets again because they knew 2 hidden rules of the game. Leshia thinks that Titan is happy that Faye has understood his game. The Titan goes towards them. Faye and Leshia start running while Asta goes to hide. Faye remembers that Meep said that even if they kept running, they could lose. They needed to discover the game's winning condition. Defeating the Titan was only in the battle game, so this time it was different. There was no indicator of how long they needed to flee. Faye looks at Leshia, and she is smiling while he thinks. Leshia says that's exactly what she thought. She and Faye think alike. Faye understood what she meant. Above all, Faye was taking the game seriously. And he says the game was very exciting. Leshia said it made her happy. She was used to being a goddess, and when people took the game seriously, it was fun. Faye has a flashback again of that girl with the red hair saying that games are made for fun. Faye tells Leshia that losing frustrates him, so he wants to win at all costs. Leshia thinks it's obvious, and Faye wanted to know what the victory condition was. They keep running, but most of the humans are red. The team asks that even if only the 2 of them are left, they should resist. It was difficult because they didn't want to eliminate their colleagues, but their legs moved on their own. Faye and Leshia run to a bridge in the building. Leshia breaks the bridge to give them a few seconds. Faye asks them to hurry. Until they heard the Titan coming, they were trapped. It was hard enough to escape, but there were still the humans, and they had to figure out the victory condition. Asta was hiding too. That is, there were only the 3 of them left. Faye tells Leshia that they need to switch sides. There was a 3rd game in that game of Catch of the Gods. In that game, there was tag, hide, and seek, and a 3rd game mixed in. So there were 2 conditions for defeat. Then Faye and Leshia were about to split up, but the other humans arrived. Leshia said she would draw them out, while Faye said she would go over the top. Leshia jumps out of the window and runs before the human subordinates reach her. The Titan has destroyed several buildings, and it looks like it's going to destroy that shopping center last. Faye just asks him to take his time, and Leshia too. Until Titan finds him, it was all strategic to find Faye right there. He wanted to defeat him with his bare hands. Asta watches from afar. Faye has been caught. Meanwhile, Leshia was running away from her subordinates. Faye said it was game over, as all the buildings had been destroyed. Even by the rules of the god's catch, he wasn't considered incapacitated. So he didn't become a servant. He returned ignoring any interference without any problems. It was the supreme regeneration. His arise was God's favorite. Even if Faye revives, there would still be 3 humans against 16 gods. The Titan thought it had won, but the opposite was true. The humans who fulfilled the victory condition. Faye wants the Titan to provide answers, the internal game that was hidden until the end was reversed. The premise was that it would be a game of catch, but the city was a chessboard. God chases, humans flee. God's subordinates appear and people save them. Clearly, the god plays first, and then the humans. And when the person is touched, the upper part of the body comes back, as if the garment turned. That was the biggest tip. So there are the shifts of who plays before and after. The side turns according to the contact. The game that meets these 2 conditions is Reversi. Leshia says that the Titan's meep was excellent because it made you think that the explanation was a hint, the meep saying that that was a square field. The Reversi ends when the board is full. In this case, that's when the field is destroyed and you can't play anymore. So it remains to be seen who has more pieces, the humans or the god. The humans only had one way to win. That way was chain reaction. When Asta and the vice captain were touched by the Titan, the two people next to them changed sides. At that moment, Asta threw 3 people against the wall so that they would be in the same line between the god, which is why the 2 in the middle went to the god's side. And Faye's goal was to get the god's attention. Licia will use the same trick now. Faye calls Asta, and Asta says that Faye underestimates her senpai, so she attacks all her subordinates at once. Licia goes and touches a subordinate. Now everyone would be reversed. The game ends when all the buildings are destroyed, 10 humans and 9 on God's side. The game is over and the humans have won. The Titan put his hand out for Faye to climb on. It had been 35 days since humanity had won. It was the biggest audience in the world that day. In that city alone, it was over 70%. Manager Miranda was very happy. She needs the apostles who have developed with this income to do their best to win the games of the gods. And she asks how Faye's partnership with Licia went. For Manager Miranda, the two were in sync. They didn't even look like a newly formed duo. For Faye, it was incredible. Licia understood him just by looking into his eyes. The ancient goddess was very cool. Manager Miranda may wonder, but it's not because she's an ex-goddess. Miranda thinks it only worked because it was Faye and Licia. Miranda says that Licia was playing alone the whole time until Faye arrived. She had no opponents because she was too strong, even at cards, go or roulette. And Faye has another flashback thinking that she played alone, because he did too when he was a child. Miranda thought that the two of them would make a good team, and Faye was getting closer to her dream of zeroing in on the games of the gods too. Faye says she'll do her best. Manager Miranda enters a card for him, and Faye says she's come back for it. Faye then asks Licia if she could come in. She says yes. He goes in, and she's sitting on the sofa watching the match. She talks about the time they ran off to the department store. She thought it best to go left and run to the arcade in the cul-de-sac. She had already watched it 4 times. And she asks Faye what his wish was. As for earning the reward of the gods, she could wish to be a goddess again. Faye replies that he has a wish, and she wants to know what it is, asking him to tell her. Faye says he wants to meet someone. This person used to play with him all the time when he was a child. He didn't know her name, he just called her his little sister. She taught him all about games when he was young, and he always lost every time they played. He challenged her day and night, but she always accepted everything with a smile. But one day she disappeared. She left a promise that she would see Faye again. Licia finds it all very mysterious. Faye says that maybe it's gratitude. He would like to thank her. And he was there because of that person after all. So he only had that desire to find the person who played with him in the past. Licia finds it an interesting wish. She asks if Faye has any clues about that human. Faye replies that she can't remember her name, voice, or face. The only thing he remembers is that she had red hair like Licia. He even thought they had some connection. Licia laughs, saying that she was trapped in the ice for 3,000 years. Licia hopes he can fulfill her wish. Faye thinks that meeting Licia, who is just like his sister, was fate. He promises to do his best because the two of them were a team. They will fight to reset the game of the gods.